On the morning of Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, a quiet street in Slidell, Louisiana, became the scene of an unimaginable tragedy. A routine school day was shattered when a grandmother getting behind the wheel of her SUV ran over and killed her 5-year-old grandson as he waited for the school bus in their own driveway. At the center of this story is 5-year-old Carson Lawson, a boy described as a bright light full of joy and laughter. He was waiting for his school bus around 7 a.m. in his family's driveway. Police believe Carson was on the ground directly in front of the family's large GMC Yukon, hidden from the driver's view. His 55-year-old grandmother, Kristen Anders, got into the vehicle to leave for work. Unaware her grandson was there, she started the car and pulled forward. She told police she only stopped after realizing she had ran over something. Carson was killed instantly. When Slidell police arrived at this horrific scene, the tragedy took an even darker turn. Officers noted that the grandmother, Kristen Anders, was showing clear signs of impairment. A drug recognition expert was called in and determined she was under the influence of both alcohol and central nervous system depressants. This wasn't just an accident, it was a crime. She was arrested and charged with vehicular homicide. Slidell Police Chief Daniel later called it any parent's worst nightmare, acknowledging the double tragedy of the family losing their child while the grandmother faces arrest.
Shortly after 7 a.m. this morning, our officers responded to the 300 block of Spartan Loop, which is in the Spartan Trace subdivision, in reference to a vehicle that struck a young child in a driveway. The preliminary investigation revealed the child was in the driveway of their home, preparing to leave for school and waiting on the school bus. The child was positioned in front of his grandmother's 2016 GMC Yukon, which was backed into the driveway. The grandmother, who did not know that the child was outside, proceeded to leave for work, drove forward out of the driveway, at which time she fatally struck the child, who was killed instantly. The car was backed into the driveway, and the 5-year-old was outside and presumably seated in front of the car. We don't know. I mean, it's obviously it's a big SUV, but he was a tiny boy, and she didn't see him. As part of any serious crash investigation, our fatality team investigators checked for impairment of the driver. When our officers began checking the grandmother, who has been identified as 55-year-old Kristen Anders of Slidell, she exhibited signs of impairment. The officer conducting the test happens to be a DRE, which is a drug recognition expert, who are highly trained investigators to detect any signs of impairment. It was determined that Miss Anders was under the influence of alcohol and central nervous system suppressants. To add to this tragedy, Miss Anders was placed under arrest for vehicular homicide. The grandmother immediately stopped after she realized she had run over something. As far as the events leading up to what happened, all that's still under investigation. It's safe to say that I don't think anybody believes that she knew the child was in front of her car. I think that's very safe to say. But as far as the events leading up to that, and we're still trying to put those pieces together, but she did immediately stop and has been very cooperative with our investigators since the incident. I was at the scene this morning, as well as several of the officers you see behind me. And this greatly affects all of us. We all have kids or grandkids around this age. The first responders who were there and to witness this. So it's hard for all of us, as a community, as first responders. I spoke with the victim's mother several times today, and there isn't anything that I can say to make her feel any better or make this situation better. All we can do is pray for peace. And I just want everybody to understand that this is a very tragic situation for this family. Because not only did they lose their precious 5-year-old child, they're also having to deal with the fact that the grandmother is now under arrest for this incident. Makes a bad situation worse. We can all cast judgment and come to our own conclusions, but nobody wins in this case. Look, it's having to deal with a tragedy like this it's horrible for everybody. There's no words. There's no words. Try to vilify anybody. It is what it is. The facts are what they are. It's just unfortunate for everybody that this happened the way it did. So in closing, I just want to say that we appreciate the prayers, not for us, but for this family. Just go home tonight, hug your loved ones a little closer, because life is precious, and we never know when tragedy is going to strike like it did today. And we just need to continue to pray for peace for this family, and that they find comfort during this.
In the aftermath, Carson's mother, Abby Combs, shared her profound grief on social media. She wrote, "This is absolutely nothing in this world that I could say to truly express the sorrow I will now and forever have in my heart." Describing herself as devastated and completely broken as the family faced the impossible task of planning a funeral, their community rallied around them. The police chief ended his public statement with a plea for everyone: go home. Hug your kids or grandkids a little tighter tonight. Life is precious. The story of Carson Lawson is a brutal reminder of the consequences of a single reckless choice. A 5-year-old boy full of life was taken in the one place he should have been safest by a person who should have been his protector. The legal case against Kristen Andrews will proceed, but for his family, no court can restore what was lost. They are left with only the memory of a joyful boy whose short life serves as a powerful and heartbreaking lesson for us all.